Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie Jessica.
So this is our April wrap-up. Believe it or not, we are at the end of April. So we are going to talk about all the books, not all the books. We're going to talk about our top 5 books that we read this month, going from 5 to 1. So this is the top 10 combined, but our top 5 each. So, Mandy, let's talk about your April.
Yes.
Before we get started with that, though, what do you got to tell them?
Well, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we give away free books on our channel and you want to win those calorie books. We'll be giving those away when we get to 1,500.
Yes, we will. Okay, so tell me about your April.
Okay, I read 30 books and I had 6. I had 6 5-star reads. So,
all right, I read 46 and I had 10 5-star reads.
Wow.
Yeah, but it still was hard choosing my top 5. So, you know. All right, so with that, let's talk about the books.
Let's do that.
Do you want me to go first or would you like to go first?
You can go first.
Why, thank you. Okay, so my number 5 for the month is Beautiful Savage by LV Lane. This is her newest release from this month. This, I got it as an ARC, but it's out now. You guys can go grab it. So this is about Isla is how you pronounce it, and Seb. So Isla is engaged, and she got, like, this takes place in a different world, but it doesn't, it's got some world building, but it doesn't feel like it's, you know, sci-fi. I mean, it's got some sci-fi vibes, but it feels normal. But at this point, like, asteroids are hitting the Earth, and so they've created these domes to protect people, and you live within a specific dome. In between the domes is this savage area, the savage land that doesn't belong to the domes. There's rumors about the guys that live there, that they're absolute savages, and it's crazy. But there's like a train, like a bullet train almost, that goes from dome to dome, and it has to go through this savage land area. And so her boyfriend gets a job in a different dome and they have to travel. And so he proposes to her so that she can move with him, and they're on their way. On their way there, as they're going through the savage land area, the train gets stopped by these savages. The women on the plane get abducted, or not on the plane, on the train get abducted by these savage guys, and then they're never seen from again. Like, those are the rumors, and that is exactly what happens when she's on the train. So she is taken by these guys. Seb is one of them. There's a lot more to the story. This is Omegaverse, but it is like a forced Omegaverse. She is fully human when she's taken. So there's that. Gosh, I loved it. It's a captor captive. It is crazy. I absolutely loved it. Hi, Mandy.
I just saw an Instagram response and I got super confused because you commented on Devaney Perry's thing, apparently. Mm-hmm. But I had done a similar comment on JT Geisinger's post like a year ago. And I was like, oh, she's finally responding. And then I got very confused for a second.
But it was Devaney Perry.
I realized, no, that wasn't what I posted. But like, it was almost identical to that comment.
Yeah, Devaney is on the Oregon coast, and she's out there with her little her yellow rain boots, and it was the cutest picture ever.
Anyway,
okay,
I digress.
All right, so tell me about book number 5 for you.
Okay, let me do that.
Question though, did you change your lineup 30 different times before we started this video?
I did not. I felt pretty confident about it.
That's awesome for you. Because, you know.
Normally I change it a lot. You do. And then as we're doing it, I'm like, oh.
I know. Okay, so let's talk about your book number 5 for the month.
Okay. So book number 5 is The Only One by Daisy J. So this is the 3rd book in the Wrench King series. And this is Delaney, who is our romance audiobook addict who works at the mechanic place. She does like office things, but she's always listening to an audiobook. And so in the first 2 books, we see her not really given crap about it, but it's brought up a few times. And we also have Miller who works there. Miller is in his mid-20s and he left his family. He grew up in a commune and he left his family. And basically, when he left them, he realized that that meant he would never have any communication with them again, which, oh, so heartbreaking. But Miller is super upbeat, friendly guy, but he's just really struggling in the romance department. He just is really kind of lacking confidence in that area. So Delaney agrees to help build up his confidence and get him more confident with women so he can, ask girls out and get that yes for dates and that sort of thing and just kind of get that love life going. In return, she wants him to help her study for an apprenticeship because she wants to get an apprenticeship as a mechanic. So they both agree to this. And what I love about this is Delaney bases a lot of how she works with Miller off of her audiobooks. And at times we even get glimpses into what she's listening to, which was hilarious. I absolutely loved it. Their story is super sweet. This is femdom, so just an FYI, it's Daisy Jane, so you're going to have some kinks. But the way Daisy Jane always writes those in, you're just like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, sure. All right. You don't even really feel like it's being thrown in your face. It just flows really naturally. And because this was an audiobook, I went ahead and listened to it just because, she's the audiobook addict, so it was perfect to listen to. And Daisy Jane is the female narrator for it, and she does a fantastic job. So highly recommend the book and the audiobook for this one.
Okay. So I'm excited to read that one because my book number 4 for the month is also a Daisy Jane book. And that is the first book in that series, which is The Wild One. So this one is about Bex and Bo. Bex was married. She's gotten a divorce. She has a 8-month-old little baby boy, Jet, he steals the show. I mean, she did the baby so well in this book. And her ex-husband is a douche canoe. He really is. Like, he wants nothing to do with the baby, nothing to do with her, oh my gosh, can't stand the guy. So she decides to move home just down the road from her parents and start a new life. And she gets to this town and her air conditioning goes out in her car. And so she goes to the Wrench King's guy, the mechanics, and that's where she meets Bo. Poor Bo. He's just having a really hard time. He lost his dad the year prior. He is just drinking his life away. And he is having a really rough morning the day that Bex comes in to the shop. And she's trying to explain to him what's going on. He is severely hungover, maybe possibly still a little drunk, but he is severely hungover. He's trying to keep his cookies down. And he tells her to be quiet and to calm down. And there's ramifications because you don't tell a woman to be quiet and calm down. And so then he goes and pukes. I mean, he's just that, like Mandy has said before when we talk about this, you're in his head and you know that he just feels so horrible. He just needs everything to stop for just a minute. So it's not like he's trying to be mean to her. He's just like, I need it to stop. I need it to stop for just a second because I'm going to puke. And then the story goes from there. She is like an Uber driver. They call it something else. He feels really bad. He apologizes when he sees her again, but then he becomes a little like, I'm going to get on her good side. So he even orders the Uber for weeks so that he can get to know her, and the baby goes along with them. I love their relationship. I loved this whole story. The way he loves that baby and the way baby Jet loves Bo. I obviously love this book. It was so good. It was done so well. I love the relationship. The kink in this one, it was hot. It was hot. And like you said before with her books, the kink in this one is lactation kink, and it goes with the story. And it suits the couple. It doesn't feel like it's an in your face shock value situation. It suits the couple, and it's awesome. I loved it so much.
Yes, it was really good.
Yeah. Okay, what is book number 4 for you?
Okay, so my next read is Eclipse Ritual by Kate Rivenhall. And this book, no longer available on Amazon. So you can go on her Instagram and she has all the information. I believe it is over on Eden Books, Kobo.
And on, you can get the instant download from her Etsy page as well. You just look up
So you can go to Instagram for all that info. Her name, by her name, and you can connect with her there and find where you can get her books now. All right.
Okay. Oh.
So this is about Obedience. That's her name. Her brother calls her Honeybee, and Rowan, who's her brother. And they have grown up in a cult. But what we don't really know is like what the rest of the world is like. So it's really kind of perplexing a little bit, but this is the first book in this series. So there is a ritual that happens during the eclipse, and this is where men like kind of do like a little bit of they climb, but they can like beat each other up and they try and claim their woman, and then they have to have intercourse with the woman, and all of it's kind of on display. It sounds really wild, and it is, but it's really good. It's extremely taboo. So if you don't like taboo, like think K. Webster taboo. So if you don't like taboo, I wouldn't recommend this book. But if you're up for a wild ride that's very taboo, definitely check this book out. It is really good. And there's a reason it was on Jessica's top 5 last month. And there's a reason it's on my top 5 this month.
Yes, definitely. I cannot wait for the next book in that group, in that series, because we'll see more of the outside world, because it's supposed to be dystopian. So we'll see more of that. Okay. I'm so ready. Okay. All right. So my number 3 is a second chance romance. It's a woman on the run kind of situation. She runs off. It's great. So that is Return to Monte Carlo by Kate C. Wells. I've always loved everything I've read by Kate C. Wells. So this is about Diane. This takes place back in 1983 and in Monte Carlo. But before we get to Monte Carlo, Diane meets her husband, Marco, when he's traveling in the States on business. He's a businessman from Monte Carlo. And they have a whirlwind relationship. And there's a little bit of kink involved here, like a little bit of a dom kind of stuff that she doesn't quite understand, but she's there for it. And he's like, I can't do this kind of stuff to my wife, but I like to. So he kind of dominates her quite a bit. So anyhow, they get married. He takes her to Monte Carlo, where his family lives. She's living in a villa with her mother-in-law, her grandmother-in-law, his whole family, his brother, her sister-in-law. It sounds like an absolute disaster to me. And that's what it is. They think that she is just this blonde airhead who's only there for the money. And they are not kind to her at all. They speak about her in either French or Italian. And she doesn't know the language, but she knows they're talking about her. They are horrible, horrible people. And so she reaches her limit. Her husband forgets their anniversary. She has a little bit of a meltdown. Some things happen, and she runs off, and she runs back to the States. And so then there's some repercussions that happened. There's going to have to be some grovel. I did see where people were not very happy because he didn't grovel as much as they felt that he should. But for me, it worked. It was a very realistic situation. When you love someone like that, they need to apologize and move forward, but then you move on. My husband's done some stupid stuff, and I don't sit there and go, grovel. You need to grovel. So, I mean, it's life. I loved it. I really resonated with this story. Obviously, I loved it. It's on my top 5, but it's just, I loved it so much. And the audio just came out. It was amazing. So, okay. So what is book number 3 for you?
Okay, book number 3 for me is My Sunshine by Katherine Anderson.
Okay.
So this is about Laura and Isaiah. Laura was in a swimming accident and she has some brain damage. She's still very much able to function, but her speech is a little slurred and a little bit slower. So if she just leaves out bigger words, she's able to talk a lot more clearly. And so she's kind of learned how to differentiate her speech to accommodate that need. And so this has also led her to not being able to do her job anymore. She was a scientist, and so she's not able to do that anymore. And so she does some odd jobs, and her grandma and Isaiah's mom are friends, and they kind of do some meddling and decide to help Laura get a job at Isaiah's vet clinic that he runs with his brother. They're both vets there, and they need some extra help with doing like walking the dogs and things like that. And so Laura is very excited about this. She wants the job, but she also doesn't want people feeling pity for her. And so when she gets the job there, that puts her and Isaiah in each other's orbit, and they start to fall for each other. And then, oh, it's so heartbreaking. Laura begins to think that Isaiah deserves better than her. And it was so sad when that happens, but such a great book. I absolutely loved it.
Awesome. Okay. Are you ready for my number 2?
Yes.
I think this made one of your top lists too when you read it.
Okay.
So that is The Pucking Wrong Date by C.R. Jane.
I think it was my number 1.
Yeah. Well, you'll see with my number 1 why my number 1's my number 1. But let's talk about this one. So this is book number 3 in her hockey series. I can't remember the name of her hockey series right off the top. Oh, it's her hockey series. Oh my God. Love this book so much. So this is about Walker. We've seen Walker in the first, well, in the second book is when we met Walker. They call him Disney. Oh my gosh, the second book set up this book. I was here for it. These guys are over the top. These guys are over the top, crazy possessive. They're dark hockey. I love them. So this, we have Olivia, who is our heroine, and she is a pop star. She was a pop star. She has a horrible mother who's like a stage mom, and then she has an even more horrible manager, and these two work together, and they keep her very very isolated, and they actually have a conservatorship because they set the situation up. It was not a good situation, but they have a conservatorship, so she has no control over her life. And then you have Walker, who is our hockey player, and he meets her one night. They have a one-night stand. He becomes obsessed. She's actually in disguise. He meets her after a hockey game. She's in disguise so that she could be out. She's watching her cousin play hockey, who is the rival team, and they have this great night together. He doesn't know who she is. She's using a fake name, but all he knows is that is going to be his baby mama. And he has gone to great lengths to make sure that she is his baby mama. And he'll also go to great lengths to find her and to keep her. This book. This book. I was laughing. I know. And the way that C.R. Jane writes the characters, Olivia's life is so crappy that one minute you're feeling like, oh my gosh, this poor girl. The next minute you're laughing your ass off because of Walker and the guys and the circle of trust and Grandma Airways. Did you know that the cookie recipe is in here? Did you know that?
I'm pretty sure.
The cookie recipe in here from Grandma Airways. But also remember, guys, Mandy mentioned this not too long ago. These covers are going away. If you want these covers, you have to get them now. I don't know how much longer we have of these covers, but we'll post a link to Amazon with the covers down below. I love these covers. I don't trust what's going to happen next because I just don't. Okay, what's your number 2?
Okay, my number 2 is Older by Jennifer Hartman. There we go. So this is about Hallie. Every time. Hallie. Hallie. This is about Hallie, like the comment. And she has a horrific home life. So apparently we have a theme there. It's really bad. Like her dad is extremely abusive, and it was hard to read some of the on-page abuse. So just an FYI for trigger warnings. You could skim that and still get the gist of the book. So she is at a party one night, and she meets this older guy who she's very attracted to. And before they officially end up hooking up, he learns her real age and he bolts. So we fast forward to a little bit later, and Hallie, her dad is, continuing to be extremely abusive to her. And so Tara is her best friend, and Tara and her mom step in and take Hallie in. And so she goes to live with them. And then Hallie's dad, who's moved back to town and is reconnecting with her and trying to rebuild that relationship, comes over for dinner, and it's Reed. So here we start our emotional slow burn ride. Absolutely love this book so much. That's why it's number 2. So highly recommend if you like age gap and you like the slow burn. I know some people made comments about not liking the back and forth that kind of happens in this book, but for me, I felt like the author did such a great job because he is older. This is his daughter's best friend. He's trying to repair that relationship. So that back and forth and that angst is what I love about a really good age gap. And that taboo factor, there's something keeping them apart. When you're like 25 and you're dating like a 45-year-old man, like, yes, that's an age gap, but what's the taboo about it? Like, he's just older. Big whoop. There has to be some taboo to make that age gap so good.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
Jennifer Hartman does it.
Good. Okay.
Hey, I'm
Number one.
really curious about what your number 1 is that was better than the Pucking Wrong Date.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Oh, I'll tell you.
Please do. I feel like you think I should know this, but I can
do
hardly
think
remember
that you
what
should know
happened
this.
yesterday.
And when I tell you, you're going to be like, Cage of Ice and Echoes by Pam Godwin.
Makes sense. That tracks.
Okay. All right, let's talk about this. So this book is out now. Obviously, we've talked about the fact that I'm a beta reader, so I read it. Actually, I read part of it in March and then part of it in April, but I couldn't mark it as read until April because we were waiting for her to finish writing it. So this is the second book in Pam's Frozen Fate trilogy. This continues the story of Frankie and being up at the Arctic Circle. This is a captive. Captive is dark. It is set in Alaska. She was abducted in the first book. And now we have her and the guys at the Arctic Circle trying to survive in this story. We were left after the first book on a cliffhanger. They were kind of in dire straits at that point, and this is what happens after that. We get a lot more answers to questions in this book that we didn't get in the first book. So we're getting some of our answers, but they're kind of leading to more questions. We see more of Alaska in this book. We travel to different areas of Alaska, learning the stories and the backstory of certain situations. Loved it. I can't really say much more without giving it away. The next book, so this book is out now. You guys can actually go read this, but the third book will be out in August, at the end of August, and that will wrap it up. I'm dying for the third book.
I went back and forth for a very long time, but I officially made the decision to stop halfway through the first book and wait until we get closer to the third book because I don't always have the best memory.
Yeah.
So I want to be fresh in it.
Mm-hmm. And Pam say that the audio for the first book will be out the day before, the day after the third book. They're within 2 days of each other. One's one day.
It's like August 27th, August 28th.
Something, yeah, it's the very tail end of August. And and the last, like, then the next one's in November and then December, I think, or October and then December for the audio. But so you can have them by the end of the year. And I understand needing to wait, but I can't. So just know that this is probably going to be my top read of the year. Okay. Depending on what happens in the last book. Okay, so what is your number 1 read for the month of April?
All right, my number 1 read for the month of April is All My Love by Daisy Jane. Absolutely love this book, obviously, because it's my number 1. So this is about Dolly and Hudson. So this is age gap, and Dolly lives next door to Hudson, and she has been in love with him for years. And she fell in love with him when she was a teenager. And so now that she's 20, she feels like this is the time, like he's going to finally see me as a woman and not the teenager next door. So she has been pining for him. And by pining for him, I mean stalking him. So she sneaks over when he's gone and goes through his things, all so she can prepare herself for when they're finally together, because he is obviously her soulmate, that she will be best prepared for their life. He also has a little boy who's now 4, and Bear and Dolly have like a very cute relationship. Dolly helps out a lot with Bear and she absolutely loves him. And I highly respect Dolly and Daisy Jane for making sure to write in there that this relationship was very important to Dolly. And she actually specifically mentions that she would never use that relationship to manipulate the situation with Hudson. So I just really, really respected that and loved that aspect of this book. So again, Dolly is super unhinged. We have a toothbrush situation that goes on there. And Daisy Jane, so we do have some kinks happening. I loved this book so much. It's so great. And it was fun to read about a female stalker who's just totally unhinged, but yet extremely justifiable in her actions because she's just preparing to better know him to make their life better.
Of course. Of course.
Makes total sense.
So much sense. Yeah. Okay. There you have it, guys. That is our top 10 books for the month of April.
Yes. I'm losing my voice apparently. So we each we have 3 Daisy Jane books in our top reads for this month. And you should really go check out our interview with Daisy Jane. She is amazing and her books are awesome. So check that interview out and make sure you check out her books as well. And also make sure you check back our channel on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us, and drop us a comment. What was your favorite read from the month?
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.